Hello gamers, welcome to the Arcadion M2 Savage, where the raid faces off against Honeybee Lovely. Please help me out with the algorithm stuff by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and let's get into the raid. For this encounter, we use slightly modified clock positions with Tank 2 East and Healer 2 South to minimize movement on some mechanics, as well as pairs of players with same color Waymarks. The fight begins with Call Me Honey, dealing raid-wide damage. This is followed by Drop of Venom or Splash of Venom, telegraphing pairs or spread respectively. Honey will next cast Tempting Twist or Honey Beeline. Tempting Twist telegraphs a donut AoE which throws globs of venom throughout the arena that will explode as circle AoEs at the same time the previously stored pairs or spread resolves, with safe spots out on the 4 enter cards. Likewise, Honey Beeline telegraphs a column AoE followed by a large safe spot where the AoE struck for players to resolve the pairs or spread. This will be followed by another cast of each with whatever variants haven't yet been used. Honey will next cast one of her 2 tank busters. Stinging Slash targets the 2 highest in enmity players with 90-degree Conal AoE tank busters, while Killer Sting targets the main tank with a shared stack buster. Honey will recenter to cast Honeybee Live First Beat, indicating the beginning of the first heart phase and dealing raid damage at the end of the cast. Players will receive 4 heart infatuation gauges on top of their heads. While at 1 infatuation and above, players receive light damage over time. Failing any mechanics during this phase will increase player infatuation, and filling the gauge to 4 will result in the player being stunned in place for 7 seconds, in addition to healing the boss for about 1% of her health, and giving her a stacking damage buff before the player's gauge is reset to 0. Additionally, players will have to increase their infatuation in order to resolve mechanics, so respecting content is essential here. One last note, this phase can begin with all players receiving 1 heart, or 4 random players receiving 2 hearts, or 4 players receiving 1, 2 receiving 2, and 2 receiving 0. Honey will start this phase with Centerstage or Outerstage Combo, telegraphed by this pink cross. For Centerstage Combo, we start between the arms of the cross, move out, and then dodge into the second hit to dodge the third. Max melee is safe for the third hit. For Outerstage Combo, we start between the arms of the cross at max melee range, dodge into the far part of the first hit, and then move in between the arms of the cross for the third. Love Me Tender will spawn a series of 11 towers that resolve in sequence. We generally tried to have supports take the northern towers and DPS the southern, with melees taking closer towers and range taking farther towers, prioritizing players with less hearts to soak first. Failing to soak a tower will give the entire raid an additional infatuation, guaranteeing problems. 2 players sharing a tower will also give both players an infatuation, so try to avoid this. If resolved with no mistakes to this point, the raid should have 5 2-heart players and 3 3-heart players. Loveseeker will telegraph a massive point-blank AoE around Honey, and 2-heart players should use this time to group up before the bullet hell sequence begins. Heart projectiles will begin pouring from Honey, dividing the arena roughly into 3 large safe zones. Additional projectiles will spawn on the outside of the arena and make their way across it, so players need to be mindful of these as well. Honey will cast another Love Me Tender, targeting one of the fewest heart players with a stack AoE that distributes a total of 4 hearts to players it hits, equally if possible. If all of the 2s grouped up during the Loveseeker cast, then they should still be grouped together, removing any need to think about this while dodging, and removing any need to make a risky dodge to join the stack. Continue to dodge the projectiles in position for another Centerstage or Outerstage Combo. Honeybee Finale will deal raid damage and end the first infatuation phase. Immediately after the finale, we pull Honey north to position for the next mechanic. After another tank buster, we stack on the tank while Honey casts Alarm Pheromones, summoning groupies on the outside of the arena that target random players with their Blinding Love column AoEs. Around when the 4th telegraph appears, we begin moving to dodge. Getting hit will inflict damage down and knock players back a short distance. There are a lot of approaches to this mechanic, and I think any given strat can go better or worse depending on how the groupies spawn, but in general I would recommend at least stacking for the first few baits. The boss will recenter and cast Honeybee Live Second Beat, beginning the second infatuation phase. 2 DPS and 2 supports will receive 1 infatuation and the other 4 0, and Honey will cast either Drop of Love or Spreading Love, once again indicating pairs or spread for later. We have the 1s stack under Honey while the 0s stack south. Love Me Tender will target 1 0 DPS and 1 0 support with 4 heart stacks, as well as a series of 5 baited circle AoEs. Because the stacks can only distribute 4 hearts each and do not hit hard, we simply remain stacked and rotate clockwise out of each set of circle AoEs that drop. As the stacks resolve, a 1 DPS and 1 support are targeted with spread circles, while the other 2 remain untargeted. The untargeted players soak the towers that have spawned on opposite cardinals, with the support taking the north or west tower and the DPS taking south or east. This will be followed by a twist or beeline, after which the previously stored pairs or spread will resolve, before Honeybee Finale ends the second infatuation phase. Honey will cast another splash or drop before her second alarm Pheromones, this time much more structured than the first. Players will want to stay near Honey to dodge the blind love AoEs. Poison Sting will target 1 DPS and 1 support with an orange marker, and at the end of the cast these players will be hit with a circle AoE that leaves a puddle behind. Orange marker players simply go out to one of the 4 outer safe spots, with supports taking north or west, and DPS taking south or east. 2 players can fit into 1 safe spot in the event of an emergency. After 4 sets of Poison Sting, 1 support and 1 DPS are targeted with a shared stack that we resolve by stacking the supports west and the DPS east. After another Tank Buster, Tempting Twist or Honey Beeline will resolve the previously stored pairs or spread. Honey will then cast Honey Be Live 3rd Beat, beginning the 3rd infatuation phase. All party members will receive Poison and Pop, detonating in a massive circle AoE when the debuff expires. One role will have fast 25-second timers, while the other has slow 45-second timers. Honey will also store another drop of love or spreading love before casting a stage combo. At the end of the combo, 4 towers will spawn. Before soaking these towers, the first Poison and Pops will resolve, so we have the fast debuffs go out to the edge of the arena on their Waymarks, while the slows wait in the center under the boss. Immediately after the fast debuffs resolve, the slow debuffs soak the towers according to their color Waymarks. These towers are followed by another combo, after which the slows will go out and resolve their Poison and Pops, while the fasts wait under the boss, soaking the towers at their color Waymarks after the explosions. This will be followed by Tempting Twist or Honey Beeline, resolving the stored pairs or spread before Honeybee Finale ends the 3rd infatuation phase. After another Tank Buster, Honey becomes frustrated and casts Rotten Heart, dealing raid damage and entering her final phase. 2 players in each role will receive Beeloved Venom Alpha, while the other 2 players receive Beeloved Venom Beta. When these debuffs expire, Alpha will inflict a 15-second paralysis to the player, while Beta will kill them outright. To avoid this, players can combine an Alpha and Beta to cleanse the debuffs, dealing raid damage and inflicting a 7-second magic vulnerability. The debuffs have various timers of 12, 28, 44, and 62 seconds, giving us an order we must resolve them. Honey also periodically casts Call Me Honey throughout the phase, dealing magic raid-wide damage and making the magic vulnerability especially dangerous. We resolve the mechanic by starting the phase in our clock positions. After topping up from Rotten Heart, the 12-second players run under Honey to combine their debuffs, detonating and dealing raid damage. The Call Me Honey cast is 5 seconds long, so if players did not pop their debuffs before this, then don't. A death and paralysis can be dealt with, but Magic Vuln will guarantee a wipe. After the big burst from cleansing the first 2 Venoms, we return to our clocks and top up for Call Me Honey. After Call Me Honey, we top up and the 28-second debuffs move under to pop. We continue this cycle of healing up from a Raidwide, combining Venoms to cleanse, and healing up for the next Raidwide until all Venoms have been removed. After her 4th Call Me Honey, the boss starts a long cast of sheer heart attack, charming the entire raid, gaining 16 stacks of Femme Fatale, and killing everyone with Honeybee Finale. Thank you for checking out my guide for Honeybee Lovely Savage. I hope that you found something useful within it, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.